So yoga can be the key to getting both physically fit in preparation for an upcoming surgery. It can be a way to get in tune with your body, and it can also help us to improve our mindfulness. So we're going to be joined tonight by our expert, Christina Roberts, as she teaches us how yoga can improve our physical and mental well-being. Christina is an adult athlete with years of experience running marathons and participating in triathlons, which just blows my mind. And during that time, she has also worked with diverse groups to deliver yoga programming to help people focus on their goals. She's a master's candidate in sports psychology, and I'm really excited to learn how I can get more mindful for myself. So welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Corinne. Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I have a short presentation that I was just going to flip through before we went through a couple of different mindfulness techniques, such as breathing, such as a little bit of meditation, a little bit of gentle yoga. So just give me one moment and I will share this. I know everyone can see this, but Corinne, can you see it? All right, perfect. So thanks again for having me. I'm super excited. Corinne and I spoke, oh gosh, it must have been months ago. And I personally believe that yoga can really help be one of the many keys for us to unlock any sort of, wellness, mind-body connection, a lot of great opportunities, and they all reside within us and they don't require any special equipment. Corinne gave a really nice summary. I have 2 girls and a dog. You might hear the dog at some point. I am an endurance and mental conditioning coach. So I do participate in the sport of triathlon, that is swim, bike, and run. I am an endurance runner. I do practice my own mindfulness, yoga and meditation, and some breathing exercises. I am a student in the sports psychology program, and I've just moved into my second internship for the fall. Just to give you a little bit of background, there can be a lot of myths regarding yoga. It's not a religion. It's not for flexible people. It doesn't have to be for flexible people. I hear a lot of folks say, I can barely touch my toes. There's no way I can do a yoga class. Actually, that is why you should engage in a little bit of yoga. So maybe one day you can touch your toes. It can be for all people. It doesn't just have to be for the folks that you see on the cover of Yoga Journal or Yoga International. Everybody. Doesn't require any special equipment, and it absolutely does not need to be difficult. There are a ton of fancy poses that you might see out there, things that you could never imagine your own body doing, but that's maybe not for you, and that's certainly not for me. So I'll certainly ease you into a couple of poses that will help us. What is yoga? It is an ancient discipline. It's been around for a while. I think it's a couple thousand years, not so long, but it certainly started in the country of India, and over the course of time, it evolved and has been a little bit more popularized. It can be a foundation for living your life, much like you might get out of bed and in the morning and make your cup of coffee. You can also maybe hit your yoga mat for 10 minutes just to warm up a little bit before you start your day. Yoga is more than just a physical practice. You can certainly sit and breathe. You can think through your day. You can have some gentle movement. It does not have to be something that is very rigorous, dedicate an hour a day, put your ankle behind your head type of structure. So it's definitely more than all those frills. And the word yoga means to join. And it's really a practice of joining both mind and body. And yes, so yoga is more than moving the body. It is an ancient discipline. There is a whole world worth of ethics around individual, how you're breathing, controlling the senses. We're not going to get into any of that because it can get a little complicated and quite frankly, a little unnecessary for us. Here are two really fun pictures of yours truly. These seem like very passive yoga poses, and for sure they absolutely are. So if you're able to lay down, which I'm very good at, and you have, for example, a wall and you can throw your legs up a wall, guess what? You're doing yoga, friends. So just a couple of statistics, over 35 million people practice yoga just in the United States. And the majority of those people claimed that they started doing yoga because they believed it would help reduce their stress. And guess what? Research shows that it does in fact reduce our stress. We're able to increase our focus and take better control over our bodies. And that really means we can have a little more control over our emotions, our reactions, our responses. We're in control. We're focused on controlling the controllables. I'm going to skip over progressive muscle relaxation for a moment. But our takeaways here, yoga is a practice available to every person. It can help us remind ourselves of that mind-body connection, and it can help us reduce anxiety, reduce our stress. Visual imagery is also another mental conditioning technique. So if you've ever thought through how you might, for example, present something in a meeting, let's just use the meeting as an example. So perhaps you have an agenda, perhaps you have some talking points. Maybe you've picked out what outfit you're planning to wear. Maybe you've even tried it on to see how it fits, see how you look in the mirror. You're going through an imagery practice. You're really preparing for what is coming ahead. We can do the same thing without going through any physical actions whatsoever. So visual imagery really is a mental practice, and you're building a scene within your mind of how you're going to see things, how you're going to hear things, maybe how something feels to you, maybe the sense in the room, maybe the way your body feels. And all of those visual imagery components paints a picture in your mind that actually leads you to believe that you've been there before. So if you go through an imagery practice with a little bit more frequency, when you go to the actual meeting in this example, your body will feel like, oh, I've done this before. I've already delivered, this message. I've rehearsed it. I've practiced it. Benefits, ton of benefits, concentration, motivation, both increase. It's great for confidence. You practice, you show up, you're ready to go for the actual event. You have a little bit more, a little more understanding of, hey, wait, I think I've been here before. I know what I'm talking about. I am the expert. I am prepared. Your responses can certainly be controlled. It helps you gain skills. So I'll say just right now, from a preparation perspective, this happens a lot with athletes who are injured. So perhaps there is an injury, or in the case of some folks here, there's an upcoming surgery. So you're not quite sure yet what to expect. There's a lot of nerves around it, but in order to calm those nerves, in your mind, walk through some of the things that you've been prepping for. Perhaps there are some things that you need to do in preparation, paperwork-wise. There are meetings that need to be had. Maybe there are other things like what you're going to bring with you pre-surgery, packing a bag, walking through all of those things, getting yourself prepared from I'm going through this practice in my mind, so that when you get to the actual event, you feel a little less anxious. You've been there before. Your mind doesn't really know the difference. That's what's pretty amazing about the power of the mind. So who does this? In the examples I talked about, there are athletes for sure, students will do it, motivational speakers, athletes, absolutely, lawyers, doctors, teachers, everybody can do this. And from an athlete perspective, I threw out a couple of choice folks who are actually going through some imagery in their mind based on their their successes and not so successes.
Yeah. I was just going to say that, so I am not an ultra athlete by any way, shape, or form, but I am a public speaker. And, I guess maybe I never realized I was practicing, yoga techniques, but in terms of sort of, visualizing and, going through what I was, my presentation in my mind and sort of that, pre-calling technique that is what, I refer to it as when I'm doing training, is that, you plan out in your mind, what you're going to be recalling, you pre-call it, right? And it's just, you kind of work through the process. That's excellent.
Yeah, and Corinne, that's a really great point. You are doing all of those things, and that whole preparation piece is really key. You're just going through the motions without going through the physical motions of that actual event. And some of the takeaways, just visualization or otherwise known as imagery, it's a strategy. And just like going through some physical yoga poses, there's no fancy equipment. It's all upstairs. There's nothing that you need to pay for. Everyone can do it, and it's portable. You can do it wherever you go. And consistency is certainly key to the success. Breathing is one of the funnier things that I wind up talking about because it is an automatic response. But sometimes if we're not, using the theme of yoga, that to join our mind and body, we might not recognize when our breathing is actually in response to surprise, anger, fear, worry, our anxiety. So the way that we breathe, the way our body is moving around that whole respiratory process can change and shift. And perhaps instead of taking really deep breaths and being mindful about it, our breathing becomes really shallow. So if we, breathe with a little less depth, we might feel a little bit more anxious, and then our muscles start to tense up. And before you know it, there is, that annoying, crick in your neck, and your shoulders are hunched over, and then everything else seems to, domino from there. There's great benefits to a little bit of breath control. So being mindful of my inhale and mindful of my exhale, and feeling the sensations that occur within the body during those types of breathing exercises, we can reduce our anxiety. We can reduce our blood pressure. It helps promote our focus. Our mood improves. It actually helps our digestion, and it promotes restful sleep. I know way too many people who are not able to sleep really well. Instead of counting sheep, how about you count your breaths? Be a little bit more mindful with your breathing. If anyone has ever told you you need to chill out, go count to 10, or take 5, take your time out. I think it's a little bit more of an aggressive way of saying, why don't you step away and reconnect with your breath? And who knows, we might have time to settle our mood, control our energy a little bit with our breath, come back to the situation. We have a little bit more of a clear head going into it. So box breathing, I'll go through box breathing, and I'm actually going to walk you through a little bit of box breathing right now. I'm going to stop sharing. And well, actually first, so box, right? We're looking at a square, equal sides, 90-degree angles. The way this box works, if you can follow my mouse, we're going to inhale for 4 counts. We're going to hold for 4 counts. We'll exhale for 4 counts. And then we hold the bottom of the exhale for 4 counts. So that's one trip around the box. And we'll do that, I think, 4 times. And I'll walk you through it all. Sometimes a question I get is, oh gosh, how long are the counts? Because I can't breathe in that long, or I can't hold my breath that long. For the purposes of this exercise, it's going to be a little bit of a swifter count, but here's what's really great. You're always in control of your own box breathing. So however fast or slow you want those 4 counts to be, the choice is yours. So to shift into a little bit of box breathing, I'd like everyone to find a comfortable position. If you are seated, great. Uncross your legs if they're crossed. Let your arms relax in your lap. If you feel comfortable pushing yourself away from your desk, go ahead and do that. And we're just going to sit, shimmy around a little bit, relax your shoulders. Maybe it's comfortable to tuck your chin towards your chest. And just for a moment, I want you to think about your cheeks and your jowls just kind of hanging on your face. So release the tension in your jaw, dropping the head. Take a deep breath in. No counting here. Have it fill your belly. Exhale out through your mouth. One more. Inhale. Exhale out. Settle into your seat. I'm getting ready for our first round. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3. And hold. 2, 3. Last round. In. Hold. Out. Hold. And take a deep inhale. Exhale everything out. Shake your arms out. Shake your shoulders out.
I
Any
found that I was
questions? Anyone want to?
I
Yeah.
found I was able to take like deeper breaths as I was moving through the progression.
Yes. And sometimes too, this is kind of an interesting point. Sometimes on the inhale, we start off with almost a shallow inhale. It feels very surface. And as you mentioned, Corinne, as you continue to go on, you can draw in extra air towards the end of that 4 count. So, if you're committed in the beginning to a faster paced count of 4, it doesn't mean you can't change it. So, knowing that you have the opportunity to be flexible, you're the driver. Yeah. Anybody have any comments about that? How did everybody feel?
Well, I just think about, so in the trans community, dysphoria, body dysmorphia, there are all these issues that we sometimes have, with, we get misgendered or things like that, and they create stress. And, what a great way to, and stress reaction is not just mental, it's physical. And so what a great way to sort of gain your control back when you have a situation like that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And there's certainly, a great practice could be in the morning or in the middle of your day or in the evening, finding a set time I'm going to breathe for 3 minutes, like focused time out of my day, 3 minutes. But that's also not to say if you're in, feeling upset, anxious, there's a stressful situation, you're either in or you're approaching or you're coming out of. Reminding yourself, you know what, I can give myself a break and breathe. And maybe 1 round of box breathing is all that you can, muster in that heightened moment. But it is so much better than just, allowing yourself to spiral. So taking a little bit more of the power back can also be empowering and help with support your confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
All right, so almost done here. So listen, we did that Our takeaways: joining breath with movement increases our focus too. So if you feel like, hey, I'm going to up the ante on my box breathing and I'm going to do it maybe during a brisk walk, or I'm just going to focus on really deep breaths. I'm not going to worry about the box breathing while I don't know, fold the laundry. I'm not familiar with folding laundry because I'm just not great at it. I'm not a fan. So maybe I'm going to pick a different activity. But nevertheless, tying any sort of your movement with your breath is going to increase a little bit of focus. One last thing I wanted to share. This is my email address. If anyone has any questions that maybe you didn't feel comfortable sharing here, or you want a little bit more information about anything we wind up doing as we transition over to the floor, please let me know. I'm happy to help in any way possible, or connect you with another resource. I'm not the expert in all things, but I do have a good network of people if you need a different kind of mindfulness resource.
Perfect.
So before I transition over to my lovely mat, does anyone have any questions?
Would help if I unmuted. So, no type of special equipment other than a mat of some sort, I'm assuming. My spouse and I were visiting our son the other day, and he, bought himself a yoga mat, but I don't think he's used it too much. But, maybe we can talk a little bit about, how do you kind of just get yourself started, right? And that, it can be intimidating, and, I'll tell you that little, super thin mat is intimidating for me on a hard floor, right? So it's okay to do it on a carpet. It's okay to do it in what makes you feel comfortable, I would guess, right?
Yes. I think that's a really great intro. So it can be very intimidating for a lot of reasons. One of them is that there is a lot of equipment out there that you're not sure whether or not you need. And some of it isn't really affordable. So, my recommendation is, if you have a carpeted area in your home, you don't really need a yoga mat. If you want to use a towel, like you need a different type of texture, if you're not a fan of the carpet, the only thing I would recommend is don't put it on a hardwood or a laminated floor. That's just not the safest option. But laying out a beach towel on your grass if it's a nice day, or you want to put it on a carpeted area, for sure. I do know some people that buy two cheaper mats that are thinner, to stack one on top of the other for a little extra support. You can certainly put a towel over. Another thing too, and I'm just going to get up for a minute, using your resources, the things that you have in your home, is just a really great idea. If there are any poses that require you to be kneeling, and we're going to do a couple of those, use a pillow, whether it or a rolled up towel, placing that underneath your knees, or if you're laying on your back and you want a little extra support for your head, there's no reason why you can't use a pillow, or you can't use a rolled up towel. There's a lot of ideas around purist yoga. That's just for the birds. So use what makes you feel comfortable. There are other yoga poses too. We might not get into them today, but I will show you one of them that might require the use of a yoga strap. So this is a yoga strap, but you can use a belt, a scarf, a longer towel, something around your home. And what this really does is it extends your arms. So in certain poses, an instructor might say to you, reach for your toe. Well, I might not be able to reach my toe. And I don't want anyone to say, I can't do it, I'm out. I'd like people to say, I can't reach my toe, but I can use a strap around the base of my foot and I can hold my toe that way. So using, some devices that help bring you into a yoga pose that does not strain your body is just a really great approach. There are let me see if I have one over here. Corinne, you are asking really great questions. I don't have one right here, but there are There are other props called yoga blocks, and they really look like a bigger block, like a brick. They're very soft. There is a little bit of support, but there's definitely some give. The point of the block is to raise the floor a little bit towards your body so that you, just have a little bit of a bolster between you and the floor. Or if you're bending over, you might be able to, reach your hands a little closer to the block than the actual floor. Use a book. Soup cans, actually, family size soup cans work really well. I think, using the things that are around your home sounds a little odd, and it might look like a yard sale in your living room, but that's fine as long as you're kind of working with what you have and what makes you feel comfortable. That's really all we want, is to work within, our own bodies.
Let's see you get in action here.
Let's do it. One last thing about related to clothing. I get a lot of questions around, what should I be wearing? There is no hard and fast rule stating that you need to wear spandex. If you're not comfortable in spandex, why would you wear spandex? If you feel comfortable in a lightweight shirt, something that enables a little bit more ease of movement, I wouldn't recommend a pair of skinny jeans unless they do have a little bit of give and that's kind of your jam. But I think looser fit clothing is really comfortable and helps just kind of promote movement and mobility. That's really what we're going for.
Great. Perfect.
All right. So what we're going to do first, you don't need to have a pillow, but I will use it for demonstration purposes. If we put the pillow on the floor, we're going to be on our hands and knees. Let me just change my lighting here. The quick end to summer is putting a damper on the lighting situation in my home.
Yeah, it is. It's always a shame when you get down to it's getting dark early and
I know, absolutely.
Waking up in the dark and coming home from work in the dark.
Oh, I know. So we're going to start on our hands and knees. This is commonly called tabletop pose. And really, a lot of what we're trying to almost mimic here is a table. So I got my forelegs down. I'm going to use the pillow just to give you an idea of what this would look like. Little bit of extra support for my knees. And what we really want to do in a lot of our yoga poses is use our breath to help move the body. And that's where, our breathing to move our body allows our mind to remember that there's a connection here. And as we slow our thoughts through our breathing, we're going to have a better idea of where we might find some disharmony in the body, where we might need to channel a little extra breath or a little bit more, perhaps self-compassion in anything that might come up through our poses. So I'm going to separate my fingers as much as I can, and I'm focusing on the feeling of my hands on the floor, on my space. And I really like to focus on strength and power. So instead of kind of folding forward towards the floor, I'm trying to pull myself up. I'm pulling my belly in just a little bit to really engage my core. A lot of what we do, our core is really our powerhouse. All of our balance is going to come from that. All of our sunshine through our belly button. And I'm going to drop my lower belly, curling my tailbone slightly up. This is cow pose. Lift the head up, open the throat a bit. And then on an exhale, chin towards the chest, round through the middle of the back, dropping the head, feeling an incredible stretch through the upper back. Then reverse that movement. Come through tabletop pose again. Drop your lower belly, curl the tailbone up, lift the head, open the throat. And chin to chest, round the spine, pull that belly button in, press the hands into the floor, drop, and your AirPod. And again, one more time, pass through tabletop, drop the lower belly, curl the tailbone, lift the head up. And reverse the movement, chin to chest, round through the middle of the back. Return to neutral and shift the hips to one side, then the other. And so that cow cat pose, dropping the belly, opening the throat, really good if you're sitting at a desk all day long. All we're doing is this, leaning forward, or if we're on our phones and texting, this rounded action needs to be countered as we roll that chest back. So we're going to do that same pose. Oh, go ahead.
I would think that this really does work at sort of strengthening your core muscles, right? In terms, so for those of us who may want to sculpt our bodies a little bit, that's always a good thing, but it really will help us in terms of just sort of strengthening those muscles that are so important for any type of post-surgical recovery, I would think too.
Yeah, and that's a really great point. A lot of what we're doing there is we're really moving from our spine. And so when we drop our lower belly, you're stretching out the front side of your body. It might not feel it in the moment, but as you lift that head, you're getting a great stretch from the forehead through your chin, all the way down the midline of your body. And once you reverse that movement, you're just rounding the opposite way. So you're getting a great stretch for sure in the lower back. And lower back pain is incredibly debilitating. And it's not going to be, very helpful if you also have that weak core. So countering those two really sensitive areas just helps strengthen overall. Yes, for sure. So sometimes that pose, that cat-cow pose, can really be a bugger on the wrists. And the last thing we want to do is put ourselves into positions that wind up aggravating something else. So we're going to do the same types of poses seated. And here's a great, you can do this in a chair. If you're sitting on the floor and you feel like, oh gosh, my hips feel really tight, my knees are, close to my shoulders, I'm not very comfortable, grab that pillow. One pillow, two pillow, maybe you pull a giant couch cushion off, rearrange the living room, whatever makes you more comfortable, lifting that floor up a little bit closer. For starters, we're going to place our hands around our knees. And I'd like you to refrain as much as possible from that death grip. There's no reason to, palm your hands like you're trying to rip a basketball out from Michael Jordan's hands. Just relax. Here's another opportunity. Find your breathing. Coming back to a relaxing position as we did before. Let the elbows dangle underneath the shoulders. Take 2 deep breaths. And on your next inhale, now I'm going to ask you to grip onto those knees. We're going to bring the elbows close to the sides of the body, pull the chest through your shoulders, lift the head, look up. And now when you're in this pose and you're seated, you might feel a little bit more in your glutes and in your outer hips. Then reverse the movement, still hanging on to the knees, chin to chest, round yourself back. Those arms are going to wind up straightening 2 more times. Inhale, pull the chest through, look up and out. Exhale, chin to chest, round. One more, inhale, pull through. Exhale, chin to chest, round. Roll yourself up, relax the elbows. Here, relax the hands and just let them rest over the knees. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out. One more breath in. And breath out. Shift the shoulders around, shake the arms out. How's everybody doing?
I think everybody's good.
Very good.
It's very quiet.
Right, good.
Everybody's quiet in the chat because they're all doing the exercises.
Perfect. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
We're going to stay seated. So just remembering, we did 2 of the same poses, but different body orientations. You can do this at any time. Might be really cool, maybe when you're not driving, to do it in a car, or if you are parked right before you get out, or right after you got in, hang on to that steering wheel. Different orientation with the upper body, but pressing into that steering wheel is going to give you as much leverage as if you were pressing off the floor to lift through the middle of the back. So many options. We're going to take the left hand and place the fingertips behind the head. Nothing that we're pulling on. We're not going to do an abdominal crunch forward, but just very light, those fingertips on the back of the head. And take your right hand, bring it across the body, take a hold of the left knee. Now relax that shoulder. Sometimes it's common to have that shoulder up towards the ear. So remind yourself, mind to body. I'm going to relax my shoulder. A little bit of softness in this right elbow. And we're going to fold forward. Right away, our glutes are engaged. The outside of our hips might be feeling a little bit of a sensation, and we might be warming that area. We're going to work on a little bit of spinal rotation. So you'll feel this in the lower half of your body, as well as your transverse abdominis, your side abs. Leading with the left elbow, rotate the torso to the left. So we're still folded forward, only we're leaning over and opening our body to the left. Exhale, come back down, facing front, still folded forward. Inhale, open to the left. Exhale, back down. Inhale, left, last time. Exhale, come back down. Roll yourself up. Release that hand from the back of the head. Bring the opposite arm back in alignment with your leg. Change sides. So one quick breath to get ourselves back to center. Maybe you check in here. What feels different? Oh, my left side maybe not as tight. Let's see what happens on the right. Every side's different. Be patient with yourself. Right fingertips behind the head. Again, just a light touch. We're not pulling. We're not crunching forward. Left hand comes to the other side, crossing over the body, taking a hold of the knee, folding forward. Maybe it feels different than when you folded in the opposite orientation. Then leading with that right elbow, rotate to the right. And exhale, come back down. 2 more. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, down. Last one. Inhale, open to the side. Exhale, come back down. Roll yourself back up. Bring your hands back to your knees. Take a deep inhale. Exhale out. Relax your shoulders. If it's comfortable, close your eyes, take a moment, check in with your body. And maybe now is the time where you tell yourself to relax your jaw, ease up on the shoulders, let those fingers relax around the knees. Tell your hips to yield a little bit towards the floor. Maybe there's a little smile coming across your face. And open the eyes. We're going to transition ourselves to a standing orientation. We're going to do a standing pose there. And here's where mindfulness and the way we move and connected to our breath helps us out of this position. Stay seated, but I have seen so many times this happen. That's not really mindful. That seems a little out of control. We're not getting off the starting blocks. We just want to take care of ourselves. Use your body, use your breath, roll over onto your hands and knees, move your items out of the way. One foot, then the other, roll yourself up, come to standing. Less chance of injury, and what's the rush? We're not in a rush. So I'd like you to stand wherever you are in your space, whether it is a floor, on the carpet, towel, perhaps you're standing on your coffee table, not advisable. However, I'd like you to separate your feet, maybe about hip width apart. Rock yourself forward and back a little bit. So a little bit of swinging of the arms. And if you have shoes on, I'd like you to think about connecting the soles of your feet to the inside of your shoes. And maybe you feel your right pinky toe just rub on the inside of that shoe. Maybe you're wearing socks and you feel the different fabrics. Maybe there's a little pebble in your sock. I don't know why, I'm just making things up at this point. Or maybe you're not wearing any socks at all and you can feel the direct contact of your feet on the floor. So regardless of what footwear you have, try and feel a little more grounded. So just like we had our hands on the floor, instead of sinking in towards the floor, use the floor to energize yourself and stand with a little bit of purpose. So I'm going to channel all that great grounding energy through the soles of my feet to help me stand a little tall. And maybe if I stand a little bit taller, I have a little bit more confidence. Fake it till you make it. I'm going to pull my abdominals in a little bit, keep a little bit of softness in our knees because we are soft, but strengthen your abdominals, arms alongside the body, shoulders away from the ears, lift through your chest. So you're trying to just let your heart shine forward, tuck the chin slightly towards your chest. I like to call this the power pose. Take a deep inhale, exhale out through the mouth. One more time, deep inhale, exhale out through the mouth. Then soften yourself a little bit more. So easing up on that pose, arms tuck in slightly, shake our arms out, shake your legs out. Drop the left ear to the left shoulder, slowly bring the head back up, right ear to right shoulder, slowly bring the head back up, chin to chest, roll the head back up. And if it's okay on the neck, take this chin, just the one that you have, tip it up slightly towards the ceiling, just opening the front of the throat a bit. Chin to chest, remember your knees, little bit of softness, trying not to lock them out. Roll the left ear to the left shoulder, then chin to chest, roll the right ear to the right shoulder. One more time, each direction, chin to chest, roll to the left, chin to chest, roll over to the right, chin to chest, slowly roll yourself back up. Now, one quick pose. We're going to step the feet out, definitely wider than hip width apart, definitely a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Turn the toes slightly out, and here your balance is going to be challenged. Balance is so hard for us to consistently channel both in our lives and on the yoga mat. But here's a great opportunity for you to bring yourself back to center, reconnect your feet to the mat or your space. We're going to bend our knees, dropping the tailbone towards the center of your space, and give your abdominals a little bit of a check. So gently pull those abdominals in, this balancing here, lifting up through the torso. Extend the arms out to the sides. We're going to come into a goddess pose. So this is another version of a power pose. We're going to bend the elbows, and you're going to take the backs of your hands and press them towards the space behind you, pressing the elbows back behind you. So it's a little bit of a pulling the chest forward, pull those elbows back, lift the head, look slightly up. And we're going to shift right into triangle pose. I know it's scary. We're going to straighten everything. Straighten the arms out to the sides, straighten the legs. Left toes face the front of your space. Right toes turn slightly out. Take your right arm, reach over to the right, place the right hand on the right leg. Left arm lifts up. Good side stretch. Then let's inhale, come back up to center. Toes turn out again. Goddess pose one more time. Bend the knees, bend the elbows, pull them back to the hands towards the back of your space. Open the throat. Back up to standing, straighten those arms, straighten those legs. Right toes face the front, left toes turn slightly out. Reach over to the left, plant the left hand, reach the right arm up. Good stretch on the right side of the body. Try not to hold your breath. Inhale, slowly come back up. Toes face front. Relax the arms alongside the body. Walk your feet back in. Shake your arms out. That's a really good bicep stretch also. I'd like you to take one hand, make the lightest fist. So we're not making a super crunchy hand, just nice and light. And I'd like you to put that over your heart. You can also do this while seated, your choice. Take your opposite hand and place it over that hand. And maybe you feel comfortable closing your eyes, reconnecting with your breath, check in with your body again, doing a quick scan from head to toe, maybe feeling some warmth in the sides of the body from that last pose. Maybe the soles of your feet are re-grounding with the floor. And bring your focus to the fist that is placed over the heart. And feel the beating of your heart through that hand. Trying to keep the arms relaxed as the elbows dangle. Allow your breathing to just be your automatic response right now. And through that beating of your heart and the positive energy you began to build through some mindful movement, feel a little bit of that in terms of self-love. Maybe there's a warming sensation through the chest. And using your visualization, selecting a color to that warmth. Maybe that warmness feels blue. Maybe it's yellow. Maybe it's red. And with each inhale, pump that color into your heart. And with each exhale, feel that color burst from the center of your chest through the rest of the body. And now let that feel warm to you like a blanket, feeling comfortable, feeling safe. Take a moment to gather any of the emotions you may be feeling. Collecting them back into the hand over the heart. And slowly open your eyes. Soften your gaze somewhere, focusing on a point in front of you. And acknowledge any sounds, acknowledge any movements, anything that might potentially be distracting in your space. And just acknowledge and letting that go. And if you'd like, bring your hands together at the center of your heart. So at the closing of most yoga practices, it is common to acknowledge you as an individual taking time out of your day. And if you had the opportunity to participate with others around you, the common word to say is namaste. That means that the light that shines within me shines within you. So in closing of our mindfulness practice, namaste. Thank you so much. I'm now open for questions.
Thank you for that very much. Namaste to you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see if anybody has any questions here, but a couple of things, popped in my mind. As a 6 foot tall trans woman, I find myself a lot of times sort of slumping and trying to make myself smaller, right? And plus I work at a desk all day. And I think between the two, I get like this pain right in the middle of my upper back, actually, right? And I felt that start to go away, actually, even though I'm sitting at a desk trying to monitor things here, as I was sort of trying to work through some of those exercises. The other thing, so you mentioned, owning your body. So I think that was very good. And then the other thing that really caught me is you were talking about the power pose. It totally reminded me of the haka from New Zealand. The haka dance that the warriors do, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it totally reminded me of that. So somebody said to thank. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Corinne.
I just said somebody said to thank you for reminding us to relax our jaws and our shoulders.
So you're welcome. I see that as well, and it is so common for stress to just reside in certain areas of our body, and the jaw shoulder connection is constant. And because I've been doing this for a long time, I know when I'm stressed out that I start to get pain in my jaw, and I have to take myself out of a situation and say, I think you need to pull it together. Your jaw is not doing so well.
Yeah. If you start feeling that tension, or you're grinding your teeth at night, even, right? It's all related.
Yeah, and that's what's great about continuing a practice that makes you or encourages you to listen to your body. And one of the examples was, if you stretch the right side of your body before you go to the other side, why don't you check in and see how you're doing? And just building in a little habit like that, you might be able to recognize when you are slouching at your desk, or you're not kind of at your best, or you're moving too fast. You can maybe help get ahead of that sooner than later.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I really enjoyed, actually, was that, really your workout was 20 minutes, right? It was sort of a 20-minute check-in, and it allowed you to kind of get yourself in tune with your body. And it's important for people who are trans, who often don't love their bodies. It might be a way for us connecting to ourselves and loving the body that we have. Nature loves variation, and why shouldn't we love our variations? So somebody said, namaste, Christina. Are there any YouTube channels that you could personally recommend, or guided yoga and mindfulness videos?
There is a channel called, I think it's either Yoga with Adrienne or I think it's Yoga with Adrienne. I will check. It's Adrienne. She has an incredible library of different options from levels. So whether you're a beginner, you're an amateur, you're an expert level, areas of the body, maybe you want a morning routine, something that's 15 minutes instead of some sort of power, I don't even know what the heck they're doing in that, 45-minute. So there are a ton of options out there. I will find.
Yeah. And we'll be sure to post when the video.
Perfect.
And what we may do actually here is I may, we'll have your whole video on our YouTube channel, but I may take your kind of your workout and put that into a smaller one, because I think that I personally would just love to follow that, So
Yeah. Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah. So we'll wait a moment or two here, see if anybody else has any other questions. But I'll just say that you're a wonderful instructor. So thank you. And this has to be incredibly difficult to do over Zoom, I would have to think. And pandemic life, it seems like that's where we live our lives sometimes. But you nailed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Whatever it is, we are built to adapt. Sometimes it takes time for us to have the confidence to say, oh, I can be flexible mentally and physically, or, I can adapt to this. But I think once you can start unlocking that, I've never dreamed I would ever be teaching yoga in this room through a computer with no other, people to physically interact with.
Yeah, well, you do wonderful.
But we're making it work. We're doing it.
You have another
Yes.
thank you. So
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we have reached our 1 hour mark. So I will say namaste. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for being such a wonderful ally and friend to our community.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll be in touch soon. Thank you so much, Christina.
That sounds great. Thank you, Corinne. Thank you for everybody.
Good night. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.